Hi everyone, I am Luna and I am back with another prophetic message from Creator and support from my ancestors. Today I actually have two messages from God and I'm going to go over them. But first, God's put it on my heart to go over some very important things that are happening, and that perhaps because we are being distracted by what's going on in Israel and Palestine, people are not paying attention and things are being done with the intention of keeping us unaware of these things. So everything that I'm going to share today is very important. If it gets overwhelming, you can always pause and digest in pieces or in portions. But again, everything that I share is information that I get, downloaded by God, and they're things that bring awareness, but also support and information that will help us physically, mentally, emotionally navigate through these times. So use your discernment on what resonates and what doesn't. Because one thing that you will hear me say over and over, especially if this is your first time watching, is I want you to use discernment. I also want you to do your own research, but most importantly, I want you to have your direct relationship with Creator. So anything that I'm saying, or anybody else that has a different platform, the information that they give, always make sure that you do further research, or if it doesn't feel right to you, then to listen to that. Because right now, the most important thing is for us to have our relationship with direct relationship with God. And it's not going to be through me, even though I'm bringing these messages from a good place, from my heart. They're coming from Creator. But at the end of the day, we want to get everybody to a point where we're not relying on each other for answers constantly, because this is what they created. They created a society that is dependent on them based off of, inflicting or imposing fear tactics. And this is not what this is about. I bring information that is already happening, so that I bring awareness, not fear. And I will say that over and over, because bringing awareness is not the same as pushing fear. Bringing awareness is so that you are, you have the understanding and the wisdom of what's happening, so that you can make good choices to help you and your family know what's right for you guys. And instead of looking outside for direction and people telling you what to do and how to do things, we're in a timeline that we really have to step into our strengths and our power, and we're only going to do that when we have relationship with Creator. So with that said, I'm going to get right into it, because again, there's a lot to cover. And today I'm going to read the messages first. I'm going to expand on them, and then I'm going to go over a lot of important things that are happening that they don't want us to pay attention to. These are important things for you to know. And then also, I'm going to give you guys some tools that you guys can implement, so it can really bring balance into your energy, your body, your spirit. And these are all things that I get downloaded by Creator. A lot of the times I don't even know why I'm getting this information, or this particular product, or this particular exercise, but I do it. I listen, because I don't question my God. I just listen. And then it gets validated, or it gets revealed. I get the clarity around why I was shown or told to do this specific thing. And so again, use your own discernment and wisdom to see if that's something that works for you. But so far, Creator hasn't let me down. And so I think it's important that I share this with you guys, because we're going through, we're coming up into winter again, and we want to be prepared in all ways, in every way. Okay, so I'm going to start with the first message. And this one I got on October 13th. So it's been a while. Yeah, I haven't had time to come on here, but I know that it's getting delivered when it needs to be delivered, and you'll receive it. Says, of course, see, every time I'm gonna do this, there's distractions. So I apologize. I'm gonna do my best to speak loud and clear so that you can hear, but there is work going on outside. That's what you're hearing, all the bangs. But again, I'm just gonna push through it. I call upon all my children to come together in love and kindness, no matter what teaching and walk of life you come from. My word will never come from fear, hate, separation, or war on any of my children. Get to know me so you can see the tricksters trying to create division through fear. Calling your strength and medicine I anointed you with. Now is the time to unite in my word. So I'm going to pause there and I'm going to expand on that. So when I was writing this down, because the way I get information is it just comes in and I'm just writing whatever God is giving me. And the reason why this part is very important is because going back to the war, and I say and because I want to add so much more to it, but let me just stay focused here. The war that is happening is happening. However, the people that have created this, and I say created this, are the same people that continue to create every other distraction and event. So it is super important that we remain neutral because they want us to be divided. Just like when they pulled the race card, just like when they pulled the LGBTQ card, just like when they, do everything that they do, right? They use fear and they use division, right? They want to make sure that we separate from each other so that there's less of us for them to deal with. So while that is all happening, please know that there is no sides. It's the same people creating both sides. And the faster we realize this, then they continue to get dismantled. And while there is a lot of hardship happening, it is the same people doing it. And they hide under the different religions, ethnicities, politics. They infiltrate everything. So while they might be saying it's Palestinians or it's Israel, the Israelis or Mexicans or, whatever, it's tricksters. It's the sheep in wolf, or the wolves in sheep clothes, or sheep's in wolf's clothes, excuse me. And it's all the same actors that are pulling the strings. And so they want to have an emotional reaction, because remember, I said over and over, the message has been, God's been telling us, when things escalate and they use fear, remember to stay grounded, because as soon as we get, shooken up with emotions and anger and fear, they hooked us right back. They are able to infiltrate our mind and continue pushing their programs on us. So if you're watching this, please do not choose any sides, because then you're going right into the trap that they're creating for us. Because everything else is not working, then they try the next bigger event. And this is only going to stop when we see that all of the stuff that happens goes back to them, just like Lahaina, just like the Palestine. I think I'm saying it right. The other situation that happened with the train derailment. All these things are the same characters. So please make sure that you don't emotionally invest yourself. It's very important. Let me continue. And then it says, 2 timelines are being birthed. You have a choice which one you'll be born into by your actions or lack of. Do not surrender to their fear tactics. They are meant to cause panic, so you feel helpless and hopeless. This is how they create a false savior. So this here, there are 2 timelines. And what that means is, because I was like, okay, what does that mean? Is it that, what everybody is talking about, like there's an ascension happening? And so I heard, yes, there is an ascension happening of our evolution, humanity. A collective consciousness is being birthed, right? We're all ascending. However, how we choose to ascend into what reality is up to us by the way we participate. Going back to what I just said, which reality are we going to participate or create? Because this reality is happening. I want to make sure I clarify that. The reality is happening because we don't want to bypass anything. And that's the other thing. I'm not telling you guys to ignore what's going on, because we can't ignore what's going on. It is happening. And if we ignore it, that is spiritual bypassing, or that's just not even paying attention to what's going on, and it's happening regardless. And if we ignore it, it doesn't mean it goes away. It means that eventually that wave is going to come and it's going to take us down if we're not prepared. But what I mean by what do we want to participate in is, I'm talking about the anger, the fear, the emotional aspect of it. So how we navigate through it and what we focus on is what we're going to birth. And the more truth we share with everybody, and then they realize what is happening, then we're going to continue to redirect what they're wanting to create for everybody into what we are putting our energy, time, effort into. So whatever we invest our conversations in, whatever we share on media, on social media, whatever we pray into, we're investing our energy, our time, our emotions, our thoughts, all of it. So that's what we're going to birth. So while we want to make sure we know what's going on, we also want to make sure that we use that only, just like when I said earlier about the news, or actually, no, I haven't talked about that. But so the news is something that I use, and this is something that I was told to talk about. That's why I'm confused. I'm like kind of everywhere. So let me just bring it down a little bit. So the news is something that I use as a gauge to see what's actually happening, because whatever's on the news is probably more than 80% not accurate, and I use it as a gauge to know what is actually happening, because the opposite thing is happening. So that's what we want to do with what is happening in the collective. Use it as a gauge to redirect it into the opposite, because that's what they want to push. That's what they want us to talk about. So we just share the truth and awareness of it, but then focus on the creation that we want to birth. Do not surrender to their fear tactics. They are meant to cause panic, because when they cause the panic, then they come in to rescue us, and that's where they're creating a false savior. That's when they hook us back into their nonsense. And so it's important that we don't do that. So much is being revealed in this what seems to be darkness. Remember, in the dark comes great wisdom if you can listen to my voice. So everything that is happening right now in the darkness, so the darkness is not necessarily a bad thing, right? Because as you guys know, in the dark, we're able to see the stars, we're able to see the moon. And if you sit in silence and in prayer and you close your eyes, you're able to go into deep reflections in that darkness. And in that darkness, in that prayer, we're also able to hear Creator's voice. So this, what seems to be dark, is actually revealing a lot, right? The light is being shown or shone on all the stuff that is being flushed out. So do not be afraid of this darkness, because Creator's saying it's all being flushed out. And listen to my voice during these times. I am showing you signs everywhere. If you see with my eyes, things and people are being exposed. They don't want you to know or see. This is why they're causing such chaos and destruction. Stay put and vigilant until I finish my work. So they are absolutely continuing to pull the next card and the next card and the next card. They're doing all the moves that they can because they are close to the end, right? And as they are getting closer to the end, they want to make sure that they are going to create destruction, chaos, just really create a world that is going to be difficult to come back into harmony and balance from. And that's why, the more things escalate, I want you to remember that means that we're getting closer to the finish line of, just really being done with all of this. But it doesn't mean it happens, peacefully. Unfortunately, there is a lot of, horrible things happening, and there are a lot of people that are being hurt along the way. And that's more the reason why we must see beyond all of it and stick together and support each other and really see the things that they don't want us to see, which things that have already happened while people are invested, emotionally invested into this war. There's things that are being passed that I'm going to talk about and go over at the end. So that was the first one. And I apologize for the sound. I know it's really loud, but if I don't do it right now, I'm not going to do it. And I know this is the evil really trying to discourage me. And I'm not going to get discouraged. I'm going to push through it. And I appreciate you guys for being patient and really knowing that this is a battle. It's a spiritual battle and it's a physical battle. And this is just showing how it happens, but also shows how relentless we can be. No matter what happens, we focus. And this is what I'm talking about. And this is a validation to what I just said about there's the war going on, but then we focus on what we want to focus on. And right now I want to focus on the word and bringing these messages to you guys and supporting you guys and being present with you guys, because I want to make sure that you hear the word. So I'm going to continue. And this one here, and the louder that gets, the louder I'm going to get. And this is what I'm saying. It just is this way. The more we get discouraged, the more we get encouraged, the more courage we bring. So this message was on 10/17, which started yesterday, but it went on until this morning. So this one is a long one because things are just really coming in. Like God's really speaking to me loudly now, and I'm getting these messages in my dream time. I'm getting them in my wake time. I'm getting them all the time, constantly. So I'm just picking up my pad and I just keep extending or expanding on the message that starts. And so let me just pause and ground myself. And just right when I said that. Wow. See that? Okay, so I'm going to continue, and I'm sure that will probably start back up, but it's okay. We're going to do this. My children, there's only one side to choose and stand on. That is my side. God's side, the good side. It isn't whites, Palestinians, Israelis, religion, or government that is at fault. It's the evil people who have infiltrated all cultures, religions, government, and Bibles, who have indoctrinated everyone into believing that it's one or the other. They are wolves in sheep's clothes, the tricksters, the evildoers, who have done this for years and continue to do this so that you turn on each other. You must look behind the curtain and see who's behind. Come together in my name, so they have no place to hide. So when we come together this way, they have no place to hide. They can't blame anybody because we are all talking to each other. And that's the thing that they fear the most. They don't want us talking, and that's why they censor us. That's why they keep us divided. Because when we start talking, we're putting the pieces of puzzle together, then they get discovered, and they don't want that. They want us thinking that we hate each other, whether it's because of religion or, politics or anything that they invent. And while, yes, we all have our particular things that we follow, at the end of the day, we all have the same goal, which is to live in peace, harmony, to love each other. At least those of us who follow God's word, right? It's not about whose religion is right or wrong. It should not be of that. So God's saying he will never tell us to do anything that is going to be harmful to us. So if they're pushing war, they're pushing hate, they're pushing division, all of that, it's not of God. And their God is not our God. And that's one thing to really know. Because when they say, I'm doing this for God, they're talking about their God. And people get fooled. And that's why they think that a lot of these people that claim to, claim to be doing all these horrific things to the women, the children, and just humanity in general, they are not talking about our God. They're doing heinous things that I don't want to get too much into because then I'll get flagged. But the horrific things that they're doing has nothing to do with Creator, the Creator of creation, because they do the opposite. They take, right? They diminish life. I'll say it that way. And if they're diminishing life, that means that they're not of creation of God, of life force. So that's one thing to pay attention to. And then it says, my children, be relentless with your prayer. They are trying to exhaust you to make you give in. Don't let your guard down. So everything that they do, they're doing it so that we get exhausted. Like, for example, even this, they want me to get discouraged and give up. And that's what they do. They are just creating all these different things that are emotionally exhausting, right? That mentally we get fatigued because there's so much going on. We don't know where to look, what to pay attention to. But that's part of their tactic. So God is saying, be relentless with your prayer, because that is what's going to get us through. That's what gives us the energy and the power to just push right past all of this nonsense. They are using mental and emotional warfare to fatigue you. They use events to keep you in fear and high alert. This exhausts your nervous system. They want to break your spirit, but your spirit cannot be broken. I'm within it, and you must continue to stay in my presence by speaking my word and calling my name. Continue to spread prayer like wildfire until your prayer sounds like thunder. So Creator wants us to pray so much, so loud, that it creates a vibration that breaks the barrier of this realm and expands into all realms. Like, just imagine how powerful our prayers have to be. And the more of us that pray that way, that's how we expand everybody, right? That's how we just everybody gets ascended at the same time, because they have no choice but to be in that same vibration and energy. And this is what we need to do to override any kind of, spell or whatever it is that they're wanting to do or trying to do. That's how we cancel it out, is through our relentless prayers. My children, they feel they're stronger than my church. This is not true. Do not have hope. Have faith. So I want to pause there again. And I know I keep pausing, but I think it's just easier for me to like expand on it as I'm going. And this is just the way it's coming through right now, because there's so much here. I don't want to lose it, because these are important messages that God's giving us. So God says, do not have hope, have faith. And I talked about this before, but again, there's people that are watching for the first time, and I want you to really understand why this is being said. The reason why is because hope gives us it's like we have hope. That means we're not really believing. Faith is when we believe. We are going by our faith. We don't have to see it, right? So God doesn't want us to have hope. He wants us to have faith in him, that he's still here. He's still, leading us, and that they're not stronger than God is. We are stronger. We are his church. So together we are stronger than they are. And we really have to have faith in that. Faith in my delivery and justice. Continue being my foot soldiers. Wear my armor and protect yourselves with my robe. Feel me within you and call upon my strength. Focus only on my glory. The storm is here and the tide is turning, but you must steer the ship. So we are in it. We are in the height of the storm, and Creator is absolutely within us and helping us, but he reminds us we are his foot soldiers. So we are responsible for doing our part. And that's why earlier I said, how we participate or we don't participate is going to matter on the outcome. And also for our individual ascension or birthing into whatever reality that we want to, be birthed into. And that's going to determine on how we steer, what type of stewards we are and how we steer the ship during the storm. Because it's not having faith only in the glorious times, right? We get to be in the glory of God, but also during the difficult times, we need to make sure that we are doing our part. And then it says, there are whistleblowers who will turn on them. They are repenting and will do right. The veil has been lifted and the spell they were under has been broken. Pray for their protection. They are big timers, or as you would call, old school. Ones who deliver justice when evil is done to my children. So that right there, I was like, okay, well, what do you mean? Because there's whistleblowers, coming forward left and right. But so this here, I had a prophetic dream last night where I saw there were older men, right? So they were like, I don't know, maybe in their 60s, I want to say. So not old men, just older men. They were men, not kids. And this is why he refers to them as old school or old timers, because back in, the older times, the people that were in, I'm trying to say certain words, but let's say, they weren't doing very good things out in the street, and they have groups, right? And they all have their groups and they usually fight each other. Well, these particular groups, and back in the days, they had rules that they would respect and follow. And one of those rules were, you do not touch women and children. And a lot of them have been put away purposely. And this is what I was being shown, they have been put away purposely so that they don't interfere with their whole agenda for humanity. Because the real, I'll say, OGs would bring justice, deliver justice, even though I want to clarify, justice belongs to God and no man, right? Humanity has no right to judge or or criticize or anything like that. God will do that in judgment, when it's our time to get judged. But for explaining this message, what I was shown is that there are those old school real type of men that when in their time believed that if you hurt or harmed women and children, then you would be dealt with. Well, those are going to be coming out, and I don't know specifically when, but I just feel like these are people that have been laying low and are going to come out and speak out against them, because for a time it's like they got pulled into doing the dirty work for them, but their veil has been lifted. Like they're back into like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? This is all wrong. And I don't work for them. I am my own person and I know this is wrong. And so they're repenting, and I feel like they are going through a process of realizing that that is inhumane and that is not godly. And no matter what they did in their younger times, or even in the older times, there's something about them that is that spell has been broken, and they're going to turn around and come together and protect our human rights, our God rights, and really start making up for the things that they might have done in their early years, and turning things around because they want to do things right now. They want to do right by God. And I feel that more men, old school, or if of that energy or of that belief, are going to be coming together and not allowing this to happen. And I feel like it's even going to be some of the people that have been assigned to infiltrate and are waiting for a green light. It's like they're sitting and in deep reflection and thinking like, this is not right. This is not right. And I feel that some of them are not going to go through with it, but also some of them might do the right thing and out those people, or even do something to them so that they will not move forward with doing the things that they're supposed to do to humanity. And that's just what I'm feeling and I'm picking up. So yeah. Okay, so let me continue. They're trying to keep humanity in low vibration with fear to stop us from ascending. God reminds us we already are spiritual beings, not physical. Therefore, we are already ascended. Each one of us has a role in this timeline. Step into your brave, your God-given rights, power, and remember who you are. You are the part of me. You are a part of me. The divine incarnated to birth my blessings into this timeline. So Creator is saying, you came here in this time because you chose to. You have an assignment. We are his disciples, and he's reminding us to step into our God brave, right? To step into our God-given rights and power, and to remember who we are, because we are of God. We're not of the evil, fear. We're not of that low vibration, because they're bringing that energy in to keep us from going back into our full potential. They're keeping us from connecting with God, because then we're going to be, too powerful for them to keep us down or to gear us into the places that they want to. And then last, God's, telling us to fast and detox. So that was, I just want to clarify, that was like the end of that particular word. And then other things that came through that God was asking us to do is to fast and detox. We can do it for 40 days, or you can do it for as little or as longer if you choose to. But this is just what I got, and I'm giving it to you. And so I want to talk about the fast a little bit, because there's so many different ways to fast and detox, and this is important to know, because there's a couple of people that have asked me, like, well, what kind of detox? So let's see. Fast and detox, anything that has to do with your body, energy, spirit. And so that covers what we see, hear, eat, and speak. So we have to do a fast that is really going to connect us back to our spirituality, right? Fasting eliminates toxins and purifies our body. So when we are fasting, it is a way to really release toxins. And so that's one way to detox. So when we're fasting, we are already detoxing. So we can just either do the fast and simultaneously do the detox. But if you also want to detox a little deeper, you can do that by detoxing the organs, the lymphatic system, the blood. And I can go over a little bit more on how you could do that in a minute. So make sure that if you decide to fast, remember, we become an open vessel, right? Because we're eliminating things out of our body, we become an open vessel, and we become, purified. So it is important that we reintegrate slowly after our fast, but also during that we are limiting what we are taking in. Again, what we listen to, what we see, what we interact with. And then as far as like the detox goes, if you wanted to do something more like with your organs and stuff, there are different teas that you can drink. The local health food stores, they usually have, different types of detoxes that you can implement. Some are more like in pills if you don't want teas. But that's if you want to do a deeper detox, which I highly recommend, because again, everything that they're bombarding us with right now, we want to make sure that we're constantly releasing all of that out of our system, because otherwise then we get, foggy, we get exhausted, we can't focus, we, just get affected in so many different ways. And then two things that I did receive specifically to detox are heavy metals and parasites. Those, again, you can also go to your local health food store and ask them what you can do for parasites and heavy metals. And then there's, let's see, what else did I want to say about that? I think as far as that goes, those things are, very important for you guys to do. Also, the detox or the fasting really allows our prayers to just really be magnified, because we're able to hear Creator, because we're that open vessel. So we are just super connected with our surroundings. We're expanded, and we are just really creating that world that we all hopefully want to live in, which is peaceful, in harmony, and just community and love and all that we really want to focus on. Another thing that you can do if you're not really ready to fully fast is to eat smaller portions. So if you are diabetic or you have something that you're working through, then I recommend to do more of smaller portions than to do a a strict fast, because your health is important first and foremost, like your overall wellness. So find out what works for you and do that. And either way, I do recommend, because we're heading into, times that could potentially, I don't want to say that they are, because again, what we speak into, we're manifesting. So be cautious with what you speak into, even if you hear it somewhere else, as far as like the things that promote fear, right? Even though they're true, I would not repeat it. And that's another thing to be aware of. If you're coming across posts that are talking about division and the war, don't repost that. Yes, share information, but don't post things that are going to be shocking to the system. Share information that is productive, like knowledge about what's going on, but then always offer a solution. And if you notice, this is what I try to do. It's very important that we don't bypass and that we are aware of what's going on, because we don't want to dig our head in the sand, because out of sight, out of mind doesn't mean that it's not happening. It just means that we're not aware of it. So then we're not going to be able to prepare for it. Sooner or later, it's going to come knocking to our door. So what I'm saying is, just be cautious of what you engage in and how you speak into it. So perhaps maybe instead of saying, we're going to go into difficult times, just say, in case we do, and then focus on creating the opposite. Very important, okay? Because again, collectively, we manifest what we are speaking and focusing on. And that's why I tell you guys, whatever they're pushing, do the opposite, because they're very good at having everybody start doing their work. They get us to do the work for them, because we start sharing all their nonsense and propaganda and fear tactics. And then all of a sudden, all of social media is sharing all that they want us to share. So instead, share, okay, this is what's happening, but that it doesn't have to be like that if we do X, Y, and Z. So very important that you guys are aware of this. Okay, so with that in mind, going back to what I was saying, in the event that things get a little bit more difficult, it is important that you learn to eat, in smaller portions. And it's, in general, healthier. So don't see it as a punishment. Again, we want to always look at the positive and look at it as you're doing it for your health. We don't have to gorge and everything, right? Smaller portions are better, keeps us lighter. We're able to move. We're not sluggish. So it's a good thing. Start looking at it as a positive thing. Retrain your body to eat fruits, vegetables, smaller portions, because again, there's things that are happening to our foods that are not healthy. And unless you're growing your own food or you have local farmers market, which you should be looking into anyways, then you don't know what you're eating. And so fasting and detoxing and all these things are very important right now. And then also, if potentially it gets to a point where the resources or the food is minimal, then you've trained your body so that it won't go through shock, so that you won't be struggling, you won't get a detox headache or the side effects of a detox because you had to do it really fast. So this is why God gives us all this ahead of time, because we can prepare. So we want to listen to all the stuff that he tells us to do. And then, so with that in mind, things that have passed just recently or that are happening that God wants us to know are, the meat. A lot of the meat is, you may have come across it. A lot of it is not real meat. So make sure that you know where you're getting your food from. And I do have a source that I can share a link with, or share more information. And this meat is healthy, it's free range, they take care of their animals. But if you don't know where it's coming from, I'd really, really recommend maybe not eating it unless you know for sure what's in it. Also, Hunter, so the drops, excuse me. So with other things that are going on that you should know is Hunter's charges just got dropped. So that's something you're not going to hear in the news. Other things you're not going to hear in the news are that the Epstein list was released. So if you have a way to access it, and you know, I'm sure you can find it. Also, they're pushing AI, and I recommend that you look into it if you think that it's a good thing for us. My opinion, it's not. That's just my personal opinion, and I have a very strong opinion about that. So please do not get fooled into it, just like everybody did with the shots, because it's not good, just like those weren't. And another thing that they're not talking about in relation to that are the amount of deaths that have occurred. And, you know, they continue to happen, and they're keeping that very quietly. With that, on that same topic, they just passed into law that, or I don't even know it's law, so don't quote me on that, but what I do know is that they passed for schools to have that particular shot as part of the schedule for the children. I don't know when exactly they're going to start pushing that or reinforcing it, but it's very important, parents, that you are involved and you start finding out if that's something that they're going to push or when it's going to be pushed onto the children. But that passed, so anywhere from, you know, K on up, they have to have the C shot in order to attend public school. Also, they passed, again, you know, with the children, in regards to the children, they passed the laws AB 665, SB 107, and AB 1078. It pertains, again, to the children. So I really recommend that you look into it and what that means for the children, because it's not good. I'm not going to go into details about it because for time wise, and also I want you guys to participate and look into it, because again, whatever timeline we are birthing, it's because what we're doing or not doing, it's us collectively doing the work, not just me sharing information and then just doing nothing with it. Because we can have all the information in the world, but if we're not doing anything with it, then why are we even bothering, right? And we are at the fork of the road, and that's why God's talking about we are, you know, about to birth two timelines, because we really are. And it's important that you are aware of it and that you do your part, especially when it comes to the children. And then let's see, I've said so much, I want to make sure that I cover what I need to. So this is also very important. God's saying, if you are in a position to bless others, do it. What does that mean? That means if you have a farm and you have a lot of, you know, trees, or you have animals and you are abundant in eggs, or, you know, you have a vegetable garden and you have more than you can eat, or, you know, more than you need, then share, you know, bless others, because this is going to help everybody from going into anxiety, going into panic, going into stealing and havoc and destroying. And the more that we come together in community, this is how we're going to get through it. And there's going to be no need for any of that panic that they want us to go into. Because again, that's what they want, right? They want us to be afraid and start stealing and hurting and all that, turning on each other. But God doesn't want us to do that. And that's why the last message, he said, you know, do what he did and share, you know, in abundance, like what he did with the bread and the wine. And he was able to feed many. So that's what he's asking us to do now. And this is another reason why we eat smaller portions, then we are going to have more than plenty to share with our neighbors, to share with our loved ones, with our family. And you know, it's just going to really make a difference. And so what I was being shown is going back to our ancestors' times. They used to barter, right? So if you have something and somebody else doesn't, barter. You know, if they have what you need and you have a little bit extra something, barter. And you know, these are important messages to share with community so that everybody realizes that there's other ways that we can get through all of this, and that they're not going to impose all of their nonsense and create fear in us so that we feel that we have to depend or rely on their little handouts, you know, on the bones that they throw at us, because that's what they want. And the more that we break free from that and we become independent, then they have no hold on us at all. And we are, you know, back to the free people that God wants us to be. So I believe that is everything. I mean, like I said, there's a lot here. Make sure that you watch it a few times, because I'm sure there's things that you might have missed or been distracted with, especially at the beginning with all the noise. And as always, I ask you guys to comment positive stuff. You know, if these messages don't resonate with you, it's okay. Find a community that supports your process, but please be mindful and respectful, because this is about bringing faith and community and love into these platforms, into my, you know, platform. Our church is, you know, the intention is to support everybody in these times, to bring wisdom, but also solutions. And if this is not something that resonates with you, as I said, just, you know, kindly go somewhere else. But also if it does, then please comment and share, like, because we want these videos, these messages to circulate. And the only way that that can happen is if you guys engage and you know, get the algorithm going. So thank you so much. Blessings to you guys. And you know, I'll be back whenever I have more messages for you guys. Oh,